authority among ordinary Palestinians of all walks of life. So we've heard from the Christian community here who have criticized this move, saying it's not the right time, it's not the right decision. We've heard from Palestinian factions, including militant groups, and we've heard from ordinary Palestinians. And as you go broader into the Arab world, you've heard pretty much from any country on the map you pick. They will tell you this is not a good decision. They've expressed their concerns to the U.S. Privately and publicly with their statements, but a very different reaction, as you can imagine, from Israelis here. Today, the mayor of Jerusalem, Mir Barkat, welcomed this decision. At one point, there was supposed to be celebrations here. The weather has not been cooperating, but you can imagine for a lot of Israelis that this is a dream being fulfilled, that Jerusalem is being recognized by the United States as their capital. But what that does is it heightens the tension here on the ground, and that is why Palestinian factions are calling for 3 days of rage. We're going to see how that plays out over the course of the next days, because it all really comes down to how President Trump makes this announcement. And the reason why I say that is there are some who are being very skeptical but very hopeful that perhaps in the tone of President Trump's message, in deciding to move the embassy to a part of Jerusalem, as you outlined, West Jerusalem, that you could also advance the claims by Palestinians that East Jerusalem will be the future capital of their state. That is enshrined in international law, as they argue. And so they would hope that President Trump at least strikes that balance with the language of what he is going to say today. I'm not very confident, according to Palestinians I've spoken to, that they are hopeful that he will strike that right balance. And that's why the mood here is a little bit dire, but also tense. Guys?
I mean, that's an interesting perspective. That is remarkably hopeful, because there are a whole lot of people around the world thinking, yikes, a lot can go wrong here.
Without a doubt. Elon, then talk to us about the potential danger here. I mean, that sense of optimism, people like that. There is an argument that, you know, being the middle guy hasn't worked. Could this be a good new strategy? But give us the real dangers.
No, I mean, so there's a series of dangers. First of all, I just say that it makes absolutely no sense to do this right now. Supposedly, the Trump administration is in the middle of a big peace initiative led by Jared Kushner. So if you're going to do something like Eamon just described, of wanting to put down a whole bunch of different ideas, and as part of that peace initiative, make a proposal to move the embassy to Jerusalem, but also to recognize a Palestinian state and a Palestinian capital and a piece of East Jerusalem, that would make sense. But that's not what we're doing here. Instead, what the president is doing is essentially throwing a grenade into the middle of this process that's likely to blow it up. So the best case scenario in my mind right now is he just kills the process and everything blows over in terms of the violence and danger in the region. The more dangerous scenarios are if you do have these protests get out of control. The biggest thing I worry about is possibly targeting of American diplomatic personnel, because the embassy is such a significant piece of this that then you have targeting of embassies in the Middle East. And that becomes the biggest danger. Protests in Jordan, which is 70% Palestinian, a key partner of the United States and not necessarily the most stable country in the world. Protests in the West Bank. All these things could be very explosive and get out of control. So we have to hope that does not happen.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC.